Okay, first of all, good afternoon to all of you. Today we are having a very distinguished personality, Dr. Akhlaq Amin Wani, who is currently working as a professor cum head, Division of Natural Resource Management at the Faculty of Forestry, Shere Kashmir University of Agriculture Sciences and Technology of the Kashmir. He has more than 17 years of experience in the forestry and ecology. His work is majorly focused on the forest ecology, climate change, and remote sensing GIS application in the forestry. He has published more than 100 research papers in reputed peer review journals. He is on the review panel of some nationally, internationally reputed journals and organization. He has executed several externally funded national and international projects, including ongoing his project that is IMRAS Plus funded European project. He is working in collaboration with the several European, Mongolian, and Indian universities focused on the urban resilience and adaptation. He has guided more than 15 students as a major advisor for doctoral and master students. He is also the recipient of Best Teacher Award at university level for the year 2020. Besides this, he has several awards in national and international conference. So he is going to speak on the sustainable urban green planning through GIS technology. Welcome, sir. Uh,
Thank you. Thank you
you
very
can start
much.
your presentation, sir. Yes.
Thank you very much. I hope my voice is audible.
Yes,
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 sir.
sir.
Okay. So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak on the occasion. And as you already said that I'll be talking about sustainable urban green planning through GIS technology in, which is very much relevant to your ongoing training that's on recent advances in agriculture technology for sustainable development, whether that's for agriculture, veterinary, fisheries, and all other allied sectors. So, moving ahead, we'll be going through the contents like urban green tech terminology, opportunities, and initiatives. We understand what is accessibility to green spaces, especially with respect to urban areas. Then we'll talk about urban green space planning, a little bit about tree equity score, urban farming, then nature-based solutions for urban sustainability. Then we'll go through some of our works based on GIS, which have focused on urban green management in this part of the region where I'm placed, that is Jammu and Kashmir. So when we talk about urban green spaces, so the requirement becomes necessary in view of the rising temperature. You can see in the slide from last 50 years the temperature has been rising very fast, and the change is has been very rapid and prominent, especially in the polar regions. And you can see the northern hemisphere is red, and some of the portion below that is orange, that is next level of intensity after red. So there is something to worry about for us, that uh, because we fall in this region. So and just a moment. uh, so when we talk about in terms of land cover, urban land cover that is growing, India has taken a lead, whether good or bad, you can decide on that. But you see that India is rapidly increasing its urban land cover. And if you see here, the India is is topping all the countries in where the cultivated land is lost to the urban expansion. So in if you talk of any major city, any major state in India, and you will see that the urban expansion is so fast and rampant, and most of it is the land that is converted into urban areas comes from the agriculture. So there is a thing we need to worry about. And if we look at the pattern of world urbanization trend, and you can see here in the above diagram, you can see the rural population. Earlier there was enough gap between urban and rural population. Now by 2000, globally it has crossed. The population in urban areas has just touched in 2005, and now it is rapidly, the urban population is rapidly growing fast, and the population in rural areas is becoming less and less because of the migration from rural areas to the urban areas. Now, in the same context, if we talk about India urbanization trends and pattern, and you can see that the trend has been little late, but it has picked up in urban areas. And you can see the blue color here in the lower diagram. You can see lower graph. You can see that urban population is picking up really fast, and it's going expansionally, and it's expected to cross in 2000 by 2045. We will have equal share of population living in the urban areas and in the rural areas. And after that, there is no end to the urban expansion. The urban expansion is going shall be going at a much faster rate after that. So we talk about agriculture, we talk about horticulture, we talk about forestry. So you have to concentrate equally on urban areas as well as you paid attention till now to the rural areas. So you have to think out of the box to create some green avenues in the urban areas. And with these expansion of the urban areas, and you can see that there is a heat is a silent killer, and it takes with the increase in the temperature due to urban expansion, the urban heat islands are formed, and it takes more lives. And you can see in 2021, loss of 167 billion potential labor hours have been lost because of this heat. And you might have witnessed this or observed this when you are in a dense canopy of trees. You feel a little better, the temperature is little lower, and it has been observed that the temperature may be as low as 10 degrees Fahrenheit as compared to the other urban neighborhoods. And with this, there is a loss of GDP also, and 4.5% has been recorded, especially in India, the loss of GDP due to these heat waves. And this urban, when we talk about creation of urban green spaces, urban green management, so there, all the 17 goals, almost all the 17 sustainable development goals that that we have pledged to be achieved by 2030, all of these developmental sustainable development goals are relevant to urban green spaces. Now, talking about the terminology, what is green urban green infrastructure? You can broadly say that green infrastructure can be natural infrastructure, or it can be low impact development where human intervention is there. And broadly, you can see the categorization of this urban green structure. In the first box, you can see the natural assets like wetlands, forests, park, meadow, lawns, gardens, soil. And then we have enhanced as these are all natural. Now, when we talk about enhanced assets, we have rain gardens, green roof walls, bioswales, urban trees, naturalized stormwater. And in engineered, there is a little more human intervention. And besides taking use of natural assets, natural green assets, there are also engineered assets where significant human intervention is involved. And it includes permeable pavement, like you can see under the engineered assets, rain barrels, cisterns, perforated pipes, infiltration trench. And apart from that, we have green infrastructure, which is totally man-made, where which is all done by the human intervention, which includes bridges, roads, parking lots, culverts, and pipes. So this gives us a broad understanding of urban green infrastructure, which can be natural, which can be low impact development. And the other part is that which includes gray infrastructure, which is not green. But there lies the opportunity that gray infrastructure can be complemented with green infrastructure to make it more livable and sustainable. Now, this is typically how a green infrastructure, how any city in India or abroad should look like. That it should have everything. Like it should have urban parks. It should have apiculture. It should have green walls. It should have some scattered trees here and there on the roadsides. it should have some animal units also. There should be some multifunctional farming. There should be in the just at some distance from the urban area, there should be some natural forest also. This is an ideal situation which we likely don't see when there are urban housing projects are made. We don't see anything like that. But need of the hour is that we have to look beyond what we have been doing till now, and we have to think out of the box to get to these pictures. Now there is a term called as urban through permaculture. Now when you have an urban area and you want to turn it into green, you have to keep in the mind the principle of permaculture, which is a scientific and artistic method for designing human settlements to meet humanity's basic needs. Like if you concentrate here, this is the zone one, which is the core urban area, and at a little distance from here you have zone one. Then farther distance you have zone two, and likewise you move to zone five, which is at a greater distance from the core zone, that is zone zero, which is the core urban area. Now the inputs, level of input, this is this distance and inputs. It wants to make us understand that when you have to turn any of these zones into a urban green space, the level of input that will go into making that area, the level of input means the labor, the investment, the finances, and the manpower and the machinery, the level has to be very high in the core area, and all these inputs will reduce when we move from zone 1 to rural areas, that is zone 4, or the naturally occupied areas. We have to work on that principle of permaculture. Now there have been some urban development initiatives by government of India, like smart cities mission, which was launched in 2015. Then we have Amrut housing and urban, all most of them are launched by housing and urban ministry of housing and urban affairs, except there is ministry of rural development, that is Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana urban. And with this smart cities mission, we could see a lot of development in many of the cities. And the which has been the smart city mission has been based on certain principles which revolve around economy, health, social interaction, ecology, water, climate, and pollution. So but some terms have been missing, but they not entirely missing, but they are incorporated somewhere in between, urban agriculture, urban farming, which have a potential to be introduced, as we could see that the urban population is growing, and by 2045 there will be equal share of population living in urban areas as well as in rural areas. So we have to, yes, we have to think of farming in the urban areas as well. Now, first and foremost is the accessibility to urban green spaces. Now when you are you live in urban areas, and you also have the equal right to have access to green spaces, which is first and foremost the responsibility of the people who are living there. Then it also becomes an a mandate of the the government officials, the government that is working to make these green spaces accessible to the people who are living in those urban areas. And you can see, if you categorize the forest that could be within the vicinity of urban areas, you can categorize them into inner forests, means the trees which are on the streets of the urban areas, and on the roadsides, you can categorize them as inner forest. And when you just move a little farther from the urban area, you can the mandate of these forests change, and you can see a different forest which has a mandate of clean air, drinking water, reduced flooding. And there are at a much larger distance, there are far forests which have a different mandate of carbon storage, rainfall generation, timber, and all other things. There's a model which is adopted in UK, United Kingdom, and the model is called as Angus model, that is access to natural green spaces model. Whenever any housing project is there, and any land is to be converted for an urban housing, the the landowner or the builder, or for that matter if it's government owned space, they make it a point that they follow this Angus model where they have to make within for to each resident's 5 minutes walk from his home should have that is no more than 300 meters from his house, should have at least 2 hectares of green area. And when he walks 2 kilometers from his home, he should have at least 20 hectares site of green area. And when he walks 5 kilometers from his home, he should have one accessible green site, that is 100 hectares within 5 kilometers. And within 10 kilometers, the green area should be even much bigger. It should be 500 hectares site. And to per thousand population, there should be one statutory, that is mandatory, required by law, one local natural reserve. So this is how they plan their urban green spaces, where they make it mandatory to provide accessibility to green spaces to the people who are living within these urban areas. Now, there are some technological applications in urban green space management. When you think of creating in any any land into an urban green space, you have to consider what is the population of that area, what are the resources that we have available, and what is the economy that we have, and how much investment we need to put to make it an urban green space. Now, there is also a term which is adopted by the American Forest. This is an NGO in the United States of America, where for every city they have a tree equity score. Tree equity score is a metric that helps cities assess how well they are delivering equitable tree canopy to all residents. Like you can see in the right side, top of the slide, you can see tree equity score 78 by 100. 78 by 100 means its tree equity score of this area, of this city, of this town is 78. Means uh, you know they have 78 percent of the area has accessibility to these trees, which is 78%. And this tree equity score is based on a lot of data, which includes what is the existing tree canopy, what's the population density, what's the income of of the people which are living in that area, what's the employment status of those people, what's the surface temperature that is usually there, what's the race of the people who live there, what's the age of the population that lives there, and what are the health conditions which they are facing. And based on all these parameters, the tree equity score varies, and it has been observed when these parameters change, tree equity score also changes. And you have to accordingly put efforts to bring that tree equity score from 78, say for example, say from 78 to 100. You have to put the efforts. The efforts are have likely to be more where the tree equity score is less, to make it 100%, and where it is already say 90%, the level of efforts has to be less compared to that. And the methodology, how the American forests estimate this tree equity, they estimate tree canopy cover, then they assess climatic conditions, then they have demographic, that is population data, and along with they complement it with the socioeconomic data. Ultimately, in the step 1, step 2, step 3, that leads to us that is the priority index. And you can see they prioritize the existing canopy which is prevailing over in that region. They just give a weighted approach to with the priority, which depends on income of that area, employment status of that area, of the people of that area, health, race, language, as we already talked about. And when you this is the elaboration of the priority index and these priorities which have been discussed in the previous slide. Now, we talked about initially about the urban farming. Urban farming is also one of the ways to achieve urban green sustainability. And you can see, this is one of the pictures. You can see the vegetation growing at the rooftop of an urban area of a city. It refers to the practice of growing, processing, and distributing food in or around cities and urban areas. It plays a key role in enhancing local food production, promoting sustainability, and addressing food security issues in urban environments. I hope you might have already witnessed such kind of things in some urban spaces, but you know, the advantage that is placed that the otherwise the roof that is concrete otherwise would have played a role, a contribution in creating heat island. But now when the vegetation is there, when the crop is there, when the vegetables are there, so this the impact gets reduced. And these are the types of urban farming which we can do, which includes indoor farming, what vertical farming, container farming, outdoor farming, rooftop farming, small plots. And if you elaborate these types, you can see rooftop gardens, vertical farming, animal husbandry, community gardens, hydroponics and aquaponics, indoor farming, backyard gardens, guerrilla gardening, which means that you just randomly go outside and see any in any land with the whether that is government owned or the community owned. You just go without having any sort of permission. You just go and try to beautify it, and by planting some trees and trying to make it a part of urban farming. Container gardening, which all of us do in our at our homes. Then urban beekeeping also there, which otherwise is much observed in the rural areas, agroforestry in urban areas, and some of the major crops that you see. Uh, People have been doing this, and it is picking up in the cities, and people are adopting it as a hobby as well. You can see strawberries, avocados, cucumber, green beans, garlic, radish. These are some of the vegetables which have been, which have picked up really fast in the urban farming, whether the rooftops or in the form of containers people have been doing and contributing to urban green space management. Now, how you start when you decide that you're going to do urban farming? What are the steps that you can take? You have to first understand the concept of urban farming. Then you have to conduct some market research, whether the type of the product which the crop which you are about to grow, or the different crops which you are about to grow have a market acceptability, and you can readily sell your product there. Choose appropriate crops and livestock. Say if you want to go for the crops, or you and want to intermingle that with the livestock, you have to choose appropriately the type of crop and the livestock. Then you have to find suitable land. If you want to have a small patch of land within the urban area, you have to find that suitable land. Then create a budget for your farming and acquire the required resources. Then only you can establish urban farming. And while looking at the mega cities of India like Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, all metropolitan, most of them cities, you can see the per capita forest cover from 2011 to 2022. Mostly it has gone down. You can see if you talk about Ahmedabad, it has gone down from 2.8 to 1.2. Some of people who have been to Ahmedabad, they can witness that city is a very growing city. It's become a concrete jungle, and lots and lots of high-rise buildings, and you know there is further expansion of those urban areas. As a result, the per capita forest income has reduced. Now you can see only the only positive change it has been observed in Hyderabad, where the jump of per capita forest cover has been from 4.3 to 8.2. Now, coming towards nature-based solutions for urban sustainability, as we already talked about, that if this is this side in the is the a core urban area, and we have inner forest, then we have nearby forests which have a different mandate, and there are far away forests which have a completely different mandate. We have to have these nature based solutions based on this pattern of existing vegetation or the green spaces that exist in an urban environment, and nature based solutions where you make full use of nature to pacify the urban impact in terms of temperature, in terms of any other calamity like floods, and you have to adopt uh, as per the European analysis. They have a planning for these nature based solutions, and the planning involves like strategic dimension. uh, they look for the ecosystem based disaster reduction. Then they do spatial this mapping with respect to the spatial planning dimension, which includes green infrastructure, blue infrastructure, and urban forestry. Then they also work on soft engineering dimension. Soft engineering is now not the very hard concrete engineering. It includes natural water retention measures, ecological engineering, low impact development, and the performance dimension. They look at all these four dimensions if we talk about the European analysis. And what is the impact of such nature-based solutions? The impact of such nature-based solutions is green space management, knowledge building. Then you have water management, biodiversity. There's an enhancement in biodiversity. The area develops climate resilience due to these urban nature-based solutions. There's some social justice and social cohesion, because everybody has a right to clean air, clean water, a favorable temperature. So with this, some new jobs are also created. When you plant these trees, we have some people associated with that for establishing that vegetation, for taking care of that vegetation. So new economic opportunities and green jobs, and we get some solace from natural and climatic hazards, and there is definitely a moderation in them. And there is a participatory planning where government in association with the public works towards making these urban areas greener. Now, coming towards some urban greening examples, and the uh, Singapore is a pioneering the way it has created urban green environment. You might have heard about city biodiversity index, which has been originated from Singapore itself, and it has taken a lead in making these urban green spaces and these urban green environment. And you can see this has it has developed as a reputation of city in nature. So you can see what they have been doing: green gentrification, creating green areas by the walking areas across the along the rail lines, along the abandoned areas, and some common places where people, these are some rooftops. You can see how Singapore has changed itself and earned itself as a reputation of nature city. You can see rooftops and the green walls, and this is one of the green walls that has exists in Singapore. And coming towards the Indian examples, which Chandigarh is best UT city and has also won the award among the smart cities in some of the categories. And Surat has with the use of renewable energy, it is India's first smart city with solar power. And talking about Srinagar, where we come from, this was the smart city plan that was when the project was given to Srinagar as well. So they had made this project, and this was the plan that was initially showed to us, that we are going to make this area, Lal Chowk area, which you might have heard of, like this. And this is the real, after the implementation, this is the real Lal Chowk, which you can see. And these are some of the glimpses of the Srinagar city smart city project. You can see there are green pathways, green along the water, along the Dal, and you can see green spaces have been. This is some of the core urban areas in near the Polo View Lal Chowk area, which has been made green. And we in urban for promotion of urban green sustainability, there is a term called as slow tourism. It has been pressed again and again that tourism should not be very fast, come, go, take some pictures and move in 2 days. So we really recommend for these ecologically fragile areas in the Himalayas. These cities are landlocked and have very little scope of expansion. So we recommend slow tourism for these cities, which is sustainable. You reduce your mobility, sit at some place for some 10-15 days or 1 month, and spend some time with the local people. You get to know about the local culture, the local history, the local cuisine. You enjoy your homestays. You have less carbon footprint, and in a way you reduce your pollution. And these are some of the examples. You can take it, that is religious tourism, of these slow tourism. Backpacking, pack your bag, go to the lonely places with the minimum footprint along with you. Hiking trips, culinary tourism, where you savor different kinds of dishes and learn how they have originated and what their significance in terms of the culture and the cycling trips, all those. There are some cycling docks where you promote that you should not, you should make less and less use of vehicles which run on petrol and diesel, and you should promote cycling. And this is one such example where cycling docks have been established at different parts of the city. And when talking about remote sensing and GIS, and we have in the promotion of urban green spaces, and in some problem solving, we have been able to do some of the works using remote sensing and GIS, with a contribution to urban green mapping of Srinagar and the adjoining areas. This is one of the maps that has been generated, and you can see this is the Srinagar city, and you can see the red is the settlement, and you can see how change 2007 and 2017, how the things have changed. And when I'm toggling the image, and you can see there are some changes happening. The urban area is increasing, the agriculture is expanding, agriculture is making way for urban area, and a lot of changes are going on where agricultural land is being converted into urban areas, and there are some green spaces which you called as trees outside forests, parrot green color. If you see, these are the urban areas where some urban forest has been created, and this is the decadal change, the 10-year change which has been observed in the city. And you can see agriculture has gone down. You can see in 1335. Likewise, habitation has increased. 1819 hectares has increased, and which has majorly come from the agriculture. And there has been some loss of the trees outside forests, means trees have been cut to make way for the urban areas, for the buildings and residential areas. And we also use some machine learning in mapping, creation of maps, so that we save on our time, energy, effort, and money. So this is one of the maps which was generated by us for the Srinagar area. You can clearly see that different land use, land cover classes, and the red is shown in habitation, which is very much similar to the otherwise digitized map. And this is Dal Lake, where which is an urban lake within the heart of the Srinagar, and you can see this is second largest lake, and it has an area of 18 square kilometer. It has also developed some agriculture, like you can see here, some agriculture, some vegetables, livelihood, within the Dal as well as on the peripheries of Dal. This has been going on since a lot of time. As a result, some uh, encroachments have also been there, but the government has taken some jobs, and there is weed infestation also. And you can see there is manual scavenging of weed, which is taking the toll on lake, and some mechanized scavenging of weed is also done with the help of some big machines you can see in the Dal. That's creating a problem actually in the Dal. And this is how we have done this study, while between 2007 and 17, how the things have been changed in the Dal Lake. Otherwise, it may be of the interest to people from fisheries as well, because it's about water. So the Dal is getting weed infested, and there are some uh, agriculture activities are increasing. There is some filling in some areas, and where agriculture is practiced, this is a cause of concern, and we regularly communicate this to the local authorities so that they do something about it. And this is how the Dal dynamics has been going on. And you can see some of the snapshots of the satellite images where some habitations have been there, then government took some action, and they removed those habitations. And you can see that there is an increase in the there's a decrease in the Dal agriculture as a result of such activities. And the Dal, with the weeds inside the Dal, have increased over the 10 years. And likewise, there have been some other changes. This is how we do the ground truthing. We collect the data from the field. And then there is another case study from Srinagar, where you can see, if we see, I've toggled the image, and you can see some changes happening in the map. And there are some lot of things going on. The figures in red are reducing, that agriculture is reduced and is fast converting to habitation. Then there is reduction in forests. Some forest is cut and making way for some forest scrub. Then wetland is also reducing. and we everything is going on, has been going on within the decade. That is land shrinking, land degradation, then conversion, then deforestation. And this is the core city area, only the city area. And you can see there is very, all the things you see, most of the things in red, very few things in green. The things in green are green space. So the green space within the urban area has to be increased. And you can see urban forest makes 12% of the actual, city area, only. And this is, these are the, this is the green space map of Srinagar, which we have developed using GIS. Then we also do some, there are urban forests within the vicinity of the city. We have to also, for the its management, we have to see how vulnerable is that. So these urban forests are also vulnerable to forest fires. So we do different kinds of vulnerability studies, in the area, and we develop different kinds of maps like slope map, settlement map, road map, population map, digital elevation map. We have the climatic data like precipitation, like temperature aspect, and land use land cover map. Then ultimately we have been able to develop this forest risk map, where you can see the forests within the area that are at high risk are can be seen in red. And then we validated this. We actually collected the fire spots where fire has happened in the past 5 or 10 years. Then we collected the data, and we could actually validate our model, where we could see that these, all these fire points, you can see these points in black, these points actually fall in the high risk zone area, high risk zone. So that validates our map, that whatever areas we have been able to delineate as the high risk forest, high forest risk, forest fire risk areas, the actual forest fire happened in those areas in the past 10 years. Sometimes we have to map trees outside forests, which are in the urban areas, and those can be in the form of boundary plantation, roadside plantation, riverside plantation, some horticulture, some wood lots. And we have been able to map those areas also. And you can see this is the map which we have developed, and this is the zoomed portion of this, where you can see that. Then there are chances of soil erosion vulnerability. You can never forget the floods, the havoc that these floods cause when there is uncontrolled water coming from the upper areas. So the chances are that the areas, or these urban areas, are also vulnerable to soil erosion. For assessing this soil erosion vulnerability, we could assess that with the help of Russell model, RKLSP. So we could generate different kinds of maps, including RKC, LSP. Then we did some ground work also, did some sampling also. Then ultimately we were able to generate a vulnerability map for the district Ganderbal. And you can see the vulnerability classes for soil erosion. In the red, you can very clearly see that the red areas are severely vulnerable to soil erosion. Now the soil erosion can happen anywhere. It can be urban areas, it can be rural areas. So this is applicable to all. And in urban green space management, we have to take care of such things also in for management and development of those green spaces. Now whenever you decide, is the peri-urban region of Srinagar. Whenever you decide that you are going to plant some species, plant some trees, you have to do site suitability analysis. You are not randomly going to get some trees from anywhere and plant those in your desired urban area. You have to do some suitability analysis. For suitability analysis, you make use of GIS, wherein you create different kinds of generate different kinds of maps like slope, contour, NDVI aspect, uh, then soil pH, then temperature, then precipitation, elevation, all those things. Then we developed a model for white willow. This is salix, which you might have heard. The cricket bats from Kashmir comes from this species. And when we try to have suitability, where in the this area, the study area, we can have the these suitability for growing this popular, we developed this model. Then accordingly, we had been able to develop this site suitability map, where you can clearly see that these green areas are highly suitable green area is highly suitable, and moderately, and the light mm, parrot green areas are moderately suitable, and the red areas are not at all suitable for growing this salix. This kind of the field work that is done in order to generate these kinds of maps, and this is the data that we could make out from this soil vulnerability study. And you can clearly see that suitability categories, the area is 28,200 48 hectare, and likewise we have for different suitability classes, the different kinds, different areas. And Wooler Lake is also, but it's a non-urban lake. uh, we also did some study using GIS for um, this area also, and you can see this is the entire catchment of the Wooler area, and in within this you can, in blue color, deep blue and sky blue, you can see this is the Wooler Lake, and this is the entire adjoining entire catchment. And you can see different land use land cover classes exist there. And when you talk about the um, uh, entire catchment, the area is 1,16,000 hectares, and it has been delineated into different land use land cover classes. This is the green cover map of the Wooler catchment, entire Wooler catchment. And these are the ground truth points that we took, and the soil sample points on the right hand side of the figure we took from the field. Then specifically talking about the lake, this lake is not fully covered with water, but the legal boundary is beyond that. And if we could map this whole area, and we can, this was one of under one of the projects that was sponsored by the lake authority. And you can see different kinds of land use land cover classes, and you can see the water body is 38% of the entire boundary. But when you add this with wetland, it is 42% plus 38%, so roughly it comes out to 80% of the area is occupied by water under an average season. Then there are some, when you are going for urban green space planning, you have to prioritize, identify communities, plant communities, and prioritize for urban green spaces. And some findings, we have also done some findings about different kinds of species, how many species are there, and what are their IVIs, what is this by their biodiversity, what could be the appropriate species. So this is the database that we have collected for the city, which on the base of vegetation, the different kinds of indices and the IVI. And you can see the floral species, which could be potentially part of the urban green space projects. We have compiled that data also. So at last, I would say urban spaces, green embraces, sustainable cities, resilient futures, building cities, nurturing nature. That's all from my side. Thank you very much. You can ask any questions if you have. Hello?
Any questions from participants? Sir,
Okay.
there is a question in chat box.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just see.
Okay.
Presentation is not visible. We have. I have stopped sharing it.
Okay.
I hope
Sir,
you want to.
I will read the question. How can
Okay.
urban farming initiatives be made more inclusive for low income communities? That is the question.
Yes. See, one of the major constraints in urban areas is that you have very less space for living. So there is no scope at all for the crops for urban farming. So when you don't have any crop, you go for vertical wall. You go for you have to be very innovative and go for you know uh, potted farming. You can do farming in pots and use the vertical walls when you don't have any land available. And if you have rooftops, you can go for the rooftops. You can normally put the soil there and you can raise, and it has been done. It's very successful. You can do that as well. But in the absence of land, you have to go for vertical. In the pots, you have to go for vertical farming. But the limitations of land will be there. This is for poor people, poor who cannot afford. But who can afford, you can go for hydroponics if you have some space designated. And if you have some land, you can go for greenhouse, where you can have um, high tech this growth chamber, or you the high tech polyhouse, and where you can do such kind of farming. But for low income groups, I would suggest that you can go for rooftops if you have some available. If you don't have any availability of land, and you can go for